Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to be continuing my Should Christians Blank series. I'm really excited about this one. I have been thinking about it a lot recently and I feel like I have some good thoughts, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you are new here, welcome. I have a bunch of Christian advice, lifestyle, young wife, marriage videos, so make sure to hit the subscribe button if you have not already, so that you can keep up to date with all of my stuff. But I went ahead and asked my husband to send me some of his advice too, because my husband is a youth pastor, so we are in ministry together, pastoring youth students, 6th grade to seniors, and so I kind of thought that he might have some good advice on this, or I wanted to get his 2 cents. So I'm gonna kind of start with what he sent me and talk about that, and then kind of go into what I think. But yeah, also I just want to clarify before I even start that if you are not a Christian, if you don't really believe in what I believe, that is totally okay. You are more than welcome to still watch this video, and do not feel threatened by me, or do not feel like I'm coming at you, because that is not what this is about at all. But this is just what I think, and this is just my perspective and kind of what I feel like the Lord has told me about this topic. So, and then also, if you are a Christian but you cuss and you maybe do some things that aren't the Christian lifestyle or whatever, don't feel bad. Don't feel like I'm attacking you. That's not what this is about. This is just to help you, and you can take away what you want to take away from these types of videos. But I just wanted to clarify that, just so that you guys don't feel attacked or I'm coming at you. But this is just my 2 cents. So also, I don't know if you can tell on this shoulder, but I have I don't know, it's scratch marks, because I went to the gym today and I do hack squats, but the hack squat machine, I'm really short, and every time I use it, I have to go on my toes to put it back in the lock position, and I think I hurt my shoulder doing that. I also feel I haven't actually had my hair cute in a video recently, and so I blew dry my hair. It's still a little bit damp, but you can kind of see what I got done. I don't know if you've been to my channel recently or whatever. I had my hair darker and I got it done before vacation, but I feel my hair's always been wet or back. But yeah, it looks really good today. Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna read you what my husband said, and then I'm gonna elaborate on it. So he said, I think people have become stagnant to where they think as long as they aren't doing bigger sins, swearing is okay. But it says, don't let any unwholesome talk come from your mouth. Ephesians 4:29. There's power of life and death in the tongue. Proverbs 18:21. So how are any of those cussing words speaking life when they are cuss words, usually trying to degrade someone or put someone down? Would Jesus be walking around cussing at people but saying he loves God more than anything? I feel if people do that, then they want to be in control and not let God be in control. So I want to read the scriptures that he was talking about. So Ephesians 4:29 says, don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. The tongue can bring death or life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. I love to talk. I am a big talker. I talk all the time. I don't stop talking. That in and of itself is scary, because we're supposed to, as Christians, uphold this image of Christ, of Jesus. And when we are talking, we have to be careful of what we're saying, or who we're talking to, or who we're talking about, because this can always come back to bite us in the butt. And especially in ministry, if you belong to a church, I feel sometimes churches are the worst with people talking behind their backs and stuff like that. And it literally says, those who love to talk will reap the consequences, which, I don't believe in karma. Some people do, but the Lord is always, watching. He is a judgmental God, he judges. He's the ultimate judge, but ultimately he is a God of love. And so when we talk in the wrong way, when we're, using our tongue in the wrong way, talking wise, words wise, there's consequences. And sometimes it's not like God condemning you, because God doesn't condemn, he convicts, but there's always consequences to your words, to your actions. We live in a cause and effect world. His last thing he said was, would Jesus be walking around cussing at people but saying he loves God more than anything? I feel if people do that, then they want to be in control and not him. So I think what he's trying to say here is, a lot of the times, people say they love God, they say that they're a Christian and whatever, but then, they're acting in a way that is not Christian-like, or is not like the Christian lifestyle, but they're like, well, God forgives me, it's fine. But I think that when you're a Christian and when you love Jesus, you really want to live a life where it's different, and where you want to live a life where you only want to please God. Now, obviously, we're all sinners. I sin. Everyone sins. So that is never going to change. But we always want to try to be better and really try to be different. But I think that when people just say, well, I can just cuss and God forgives me, like I'm a good Christian, I love Jesus and I can cuss, but they want to determine God's rules. Yes, I think that people can love God and cuss, but if you're wanting to be different, if you're wanting to live the way Jesus lived, if you're wanting to be a Christian, a Christ follower, and wanting to live like him, you got to put down your old self. You got to put down, the looks of the world. And of course we slip up and whatever, but if you're just kind of living a life where you're saying, oh, I can just do this and God will forgive me and whatever, like you're just making up your own rules and being your own God, which is ultimately what everyone wants to do. And if you're not realizing you're doing it, but then you realize you do it later on and you change, that's great. And sometimes you don't even realize it, but that's just our human nature. We want to be God. A lot of people will tell me like, well, sometimes when I cuss, it's not, words at anybody, it's not talking about anybody. I'm not like using them in a way where I'm like calling someone a name or whatever. I'm just saying the word. And like there's some truth to this, but when most people say bad words, it's meant in a derogatory way. And then when it's said in any other context, most people relate that word with a context that is bad or derogatory, even if you aren't meaning it in a bad way. When cuss words are being used, even if they're not towards someone, even if they're not giving an adjective to someone else, you always relate it back to a bad context or a bad name, because that's just how we see it. There's a reason why parents tell their kids or don't tell their kids what bad words are, or like when a kid hears a bad word, like the parents are like, that's a bad word, don't say that, blah, 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 blah. And they protect them from it because it can be used against you. Just like I said earlier in that scripture where it says there's consequences to speaking. And a lot of, professional jobs, it's not professional to cuss. It's not professional to say derogatory names, because you always relate back to, using it in a bad context or in a bad way. We are supposed to be the light of Jesus. And it tells us in the Bible to not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. In this world, a lot of people cuss, and I think we get desensitized to it. I know I am desensitized to it because I hear it all the time, every day. When people cuss and when people use words that aren't loving or aren't, good and pleasing, it can make you look like lesser than who you are. It can make you appear to be someone who, isn't happy, who isn't someone that's living a joyful life, someone that isn't living a life that you should seem to live as a Christian. Because as Christians, we have freedom, we have, joy, whereas people who aren't Christians don't have that. The only way you can get true joy and true freedom is through Christ, because he is ultimately love. He's ultimately joy. The fruit of the Spirit is joy. And so, a lot of people relate joy to happiness, but joy and happiness are completely different. Happiness is circumstantial. Joy is something that only the Lord can give through all things. And so, when we cuss, that's just something that the world does. And even though it's not something that, you may think is a bad thing, or that you're not trying to do it in a bad way, but it's just something that looks like the world. It's something that the world does, so therefore you look like the world. It literally says to be transformed. And I really liked this. I highlighted the word transformed, renewing, and then. Not to be conformed to this world, but transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will learn to know God's will for you. So once you transform, once you start to put things away, take things out of your life, and flip things around, God will reveal his plan for you and reveal his good will, his pleasing and perfect will. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I let a cuss word slip here and there. I said here, I don't want to get into what words are good, what words are bad, because ultimately it's about the heart. In 1 Samuel 16:7, it says, "But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see the things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." And all these videos that I've done, I always come back to this verse, because ultimately, what is in your heart? If you are wanting to live a life fully devoted, fully to God, then you're not going to want to live a life that looks like the world or looks like people of the world. What's in your heart, like if you are, fully devoted to the Lord, and you are, reading his word and being intentional about like being with him and spending time with him, he will reveal to you what is wrong and what is right, and he will give conviction to you. And I think, but if you get anything out of this, it would be that your conviction is your conviction, and conviction is from the Lord. It's something good. It may not feel good, but it's good. And so you need to know what your conviction is. And so again, like maybe the word stupid could be convicting to you, or crap, or whatever. You need to be in line with what God wants for your life, because maybe you lived a life where you cussed like a sailor. Every other word was the F word, whatever, and then you're trying to be transformed and renewed, and maybe the Lord's like, I don't even want you to say like any derogatory words, or like even words that sound like cuss words, or that are Christian cuss words. Like, so it's just ultimately what the Lord is speaking to you. And so if you're wanting to live a life for Jesus, and if you're wanting to strive to be like him, then you need to put off your old ways and the ways that look like the world, and pick up your cross and carry it. It says in Luke 9:23, "Then he said to the crowd, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way and take up your cross daily and follow me." Which means you have to lay down your old life. You have to lay down what you looked like, before Jesus. And that's a process. It's not going to happen all in the same day. But it says daily you have to pick up your cross, and you're going to struggle, you're going to not always do the right thing. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but as long as you are trying, that is all that matters. Now, cussing might not be a sin that is listed in the Bible exactly, but being a Christian is a lifestyle that looks different to others. So if you are cussing and saying words that all other people, especially non-Christians, say, then how will people be able to tell you apart? A little bit of like a story or whatever. I worked in retail for 5 years. So I worked at Target, which of course everyone knows what Target is. And of course I worked with a bunch of different people. I worked with every person that you could imagine. I worked with them. And so when I first started working there, I was a Christian, but I was just kind of like a baby Christian. I, was still in high school. I was still trying to figure everything out. I was still kind of conformed to the world. I was still kind of living a worldly life. But then later on, as I was walking with the Lord and, developing as a Christian, I started to, let go of the ways that I behaved, like cussing. And really, like, the couple years before I left, especially like the year that I left and the year before I left, people would come and go all the time. And the thing that always made me so happy is that coworkers would always say, "Lily, I never hear you cuss. Lily, why don't you ever cuss?" The thing that I would always love is when people would cuss around me. And they would be like, "Oh, sorry, Lily, I didn't mean to say that." And then they would like use a different word. And that would happen all the time. I specifically remember one coworker that was like that, and a couple actually. And for some people, they would be like, "Oh my gosh, like, people know that I'm a Christian." And like, when you're first a Christian, it's kind of like, some people judge you and look at you differently, but that's a good thing. And so, but I always liked it because I was like, wow, people like know that I'm a Christian, and that's like a good thing. And like, they weren't doing it, like in a way that they hated being around me and that they had to like always think about what they were saying before they said it or whatever. But that is a good thing that they were thinking about what they were saying as they were saying it. And it was like, I was kind of, not I was convicting them, but like the Lord through me was like convicting them. And I don't know, and that happens continually. Like, even at the place I work now, people say that all the time to me, and it's just really funny. And I think it is something that if you are really passionate and transformed by the Lord, and you really want to live a life for Him, and you want to live like Him, you'll start seeing that. If you're really like devoted to Him and devoted to changing and not being conformed to the world. Last thing that I want to say is, and I kind of already touched on this, but the main like thing that I will say is really be alert with conviction and what God's convicting you of. If you don't feel convicted for cussing and don't understand why people think it's a big deal or understand why other people get convicted about it, pray about it. The Lord will reveal to you what He thinks about it. Allow Him to speak. Every time I cuss or think of a cuss word, I feel guilty or just not happy or joyful. So keep your mind filled with good things. I don't want to like make it sound like if you aren't feeling convicted about cussing, you're a bad person or whatever, because that's not what I'm saying. Everyone's at different stages of life. Everyone's at different walks of life with the Lord. And so I think that a lot of people still don't see the big deal about cussing. And so I think that, if you're watching this video and you're like, "Oh man, like maybe I should be feeling a certain way," talk to the Lord about it, because He has the answers. I don't have the answers. I'm just Lily. I'm just a girl that doesn't really like matter. But God has the ultimate say. He knows what's right and what's wrong, and He has an opinion about everything because He's the creator of everything. Dig deep into your Bible. Read over the scriptures that I talked about and that I said, and really just like ask the Lord, like, if you don't want me to say these words, or like I don't feel convicted, like, or give me like some sign of like maybe to not say these words. I don't know, whatever you're feeling, whatever works for you. But I would really suggest just praying about it. I actually was just talking about this topic with someone this week, and that's exactly what I said. I was like, just pray about it. Like, He will reveal what He thinks about it. And then I said, keep your mind filled with good things. It says in Philippians 4:8, "Now, dear brothers and sisters, one final thing. Fix your thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. Think about these things that are excellent and worthy of praise." Cuss words usually don't correlate with these adjectives. Usually cuss words are not pure and lovely and admirable, like they're usually towards a derogatory way, or they're used in a way that is not to uplift and encourage. It's usually to vent or judge or talk about someone behind their back, or be mad about something, you know? Like, they're not usually used in a way that, like, you get so happy, and you're usually not using cuss words when you feel that way. Sometimes, I guess, I don't know. I mean, I guess some people could be like, well, when I'm happy, I say those words. I don't know, but personally, I don't, and personally, I don't really see anyone doing that. I hope this video makes sense. I hope that you got something out of it. I hope you do not feel like I was attacking or like, you know, anything like that, because that is never my intent. I'm just really here to give some godly wisdom and hopefully to encourage you and to make you just think. And so if you did like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Make sure to leave a comment down below of anything that you got out of this video. I would love to reply and send replies back and forth. Sometimes I don't reply like that day, but I'm usually pretty good about trying to reply at least, you know, in a couple days. And make sure to follow me on my Instagram. I'm active on there every single day, which is _LilyAllen, where I'm there replying to you guys, posting on my stories, and all that kind of stuff. So if you want to follow me on there, that would be awesome. But other than that, I think that's about it. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.